many of you will be definitely wanting word of mouth referral. We all do. That's what we aim for, right? Word of mouth referral is the cheapest form of marketing. It's the most profound form of marketing, the best complementary form of marketing, and also the easiest way to get through the door, because you don't have to do all the building trust and all the heartbeats and stuff, because someone's referred you and you're pretty much through the door as soon as you open it, right? However, we must be mindful that it is not your client's duty or responsibility to get you more business. That's not what their job is. It's your job to show up and be visible for what you do. It's your job to let everybody know what you do. And so that was the feedback that we gave to Olin yesterday was, well, it's, you know, whether you get referrals or not, it's still your job to be the most visible, credible person in your industry, so that if somebody does refer you, they see you everywhere. Like, I've been working on my YouTube channel for the last 30 days. And it's had some really good views, actually, but I haven't really massively promoted it because in my, I don't know, it's my belief that if I'm going to start driving people to something, then I want it to have some really good quality content there. But what we could do is say, I'm going to get into, you know, doing my YouTube channel. And then within a few days, if you haven't had any views, you then start getting complacent about it. Or you start thinking, oh, you know, after a week, no one's watching these things. Is it worth me doing? Yes, it is worth you doing. Because when that person refers you and they Google your name and they see you've got 50 videos on YouTube, suddenly your credibility just shoots up. Whether people have watched them or not, they're not looking at how many views you've had. They're looking at how you show up. And so for Olwyn, my feedback was, don't rely on your clients to give you visibility. You are responsible for your visibility. You are responsible for directing your brand. You are sailing the freaking ship. You're the captain of your ship. Don't let anybody else take control of that ship. You take control of your visibility ship. And when you're in control of your visibility, you're in control of your label. When you're in control of your label, you don't leave money on the table, because you are the one that is driving your visibility. When you take ownership of that and you say, oh, well, even if I'm the best kept secret, I'm going to share with everybody, hey, look, CEOs call me their best kept secret, because I am a secret in their organization. No one in their organization knows that the CEO is working with me. In fact, everything I do with that CEO is so confidential that everybody thinks it's the CEO showing up in their brilliance. But I can get behind each of those CEOs and guide them safely and secretly to where it is that they want to be, with everything that they're dealing with in running the business. And so her unique selling point is actually that she is silent. That's her unique selling point, is that no one knows that she is in the organization, guiding and directing the organization, leading the leader. That's her freaking USP. But she couldn't see it because it was too simple, right? So I want you to, as we go through this process, think about, what is your unique selling point? My unique selling point, you can give me feedback on this, but I believe that my unique selling point is that I show up every day. Most coaches, they want to coach you once a month, or they'll coach you through a program and they'll film it all and tell you, hey, go through that. I'll see you sometime, right? But I show up every day. I believe that's my unique selling point. I'm here for you every single day, whether you're here or not, I'm here. So that's the USP as part of this program. How simple is that? I just show up every day. What's your unique selling point? I show up every day, right? So, because not many people do it. To me, that's like, it's the simplest thing to do. But maybe you've been over branding or overthinking what it is you're doing, and you're trying to come up with this massive unique selling point. Well, actually, you know what? Your clients want it simple. They want you to keep it simple for them. I do actually. That's right, James. I actually show up 3 times a day. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. This week, I think I'm showing up actually, well, yeah, because I do this session, then I'm doing the 11:15 a.m. spotlight now. This week, I'm doing a challenge at 12. Then I'm back on at 3 to deliver this session again at 3. And then we're doing the sprint at 7 p.m. So I'm showing up 5 times a day this week. But you know what? I'll fucking do that. I'll do that. If it means that you build your confidence, if it means that your bio is sparkling and you are ready to get out there, if it means that you let go of any fear, 1 year, no fear, if you let go of anything that's holding you back, I'll fucking show up 5 times a day. Because I make my impact through you just as much as I make my impact through what I do for my own stuff. Each and every time you make an impact on somebody else's life, that's going chalked up on my board. I'm on a massive mission to reach, I mean, it's a big mission, 22 million lives by 2032. And that means that I need to work with 22,000 change makers who will positively impact the lives of 1,000 people each. So I'm counting on you to get out there and make a freaking difference to 1,000 people. That's what I get up for every day. I get up and I show up like, hey, go make that difference to 1,000 people. One video that you create, by the way, can reach 1,000 people. So I'm not talking about you going and having to work with 1,000 people, although that would be amazing if you could make that impact and create a course or a program or a membership or a subscription or a Facebook group that makes that difference. I'm on a mission to get our One Drop Facebook group right now up to 1,000 people. And if I can get 1,000 people in that group and train 1,000 people to get out in front of 1,000 people, then that's a massive shift towards the impact that I'm making in the world. There's a massive shift towards my vision and mission. And you get to make your impact through others as well. I don't know if you're counting those, but the impacts that you're making are made through the people that you're also working with. It's not just that first connection. So yesterday in the challenge, we got focused on who is it you're serving? Why are you serving them? And you really stepping into their world and their life, not just intellectually. Oh, I work with women who are over 45 that have menopause, right? Not just intellectually. It's like you're stepping into that woman's life. You're able to show up and say, hey, the reason I'm here is because I know that last night you didn't sleep very well. You didn't sleep well. Today, you're probably going to be a bit narky because you didn't sleep well. And the impact of everything that happened last night because you're going through the menopause is blah, blah, blah. And here's what you can do. Here's how I want you to reframe and shift that shockingly shit night's sleep that you had last night. I want to reframe your day before you go out there and start making an impact on people and your teams and your business in a really negative way. So let's do it. If you know your customer and you have a reason to get up every morning for them and show up and be that first healthy habit for them each and every day, if you have that desire within you and you get up and you do that every day, who's going to rent a space in their head 100% of the time for the very thing that you do? You are. But you have to start showing up. You can't expect your clients to be referring you. You can't expect other people to be talking about you, although that's what brand is. When other people talk about you, you have a brand. If they're not talking about you, you have a logo and maybe a website. What you want is a brand. You want people talking about you. You want them to say the right things that you want them to say consistently. But hey, you've got to lead that. You need to be the one that's leading that. You need to be the one that's showing up every morning in someone's inbox or in someone's social media. Show up every morning. Be that first impression that they have every single day. Be that healthy habit. Be the one that when you don't show up, they feel this little bit of, because they miss you. And whether you think you've got a topic that you can do something like that or not, it's not up to you to judge that. It's up to you to take the brilliance you have inside you and just do it anyway. No more fuckery. No more hiding. We've got to pour ourselves into the people that we have chosen to get up for every day. Okay. So in doing that and in saying that, some of us might need to tap into that brilliance a little bit deeper today to start, getting that cream, rising that cream to the top. So that's what we're going to do. In today's mastermind, we're just gonna go back over like 10 years at a time. The first 10 years. What were some of the things that happened to you that led you to do what you're doing now? Like, think about the thing it is that you want to promote, or the thing that you want to talk about the most when we do this session today. Because especially those of you that are working on your biography this week, you're leading them towards the thing that you want to sell. So as we go through this today, don't just think about this as your whole business. Today, I want you to focus on the thing that you're selling, whether that's a program, a product, a course. I want you to start building that into your bio. So think about that one thing, that one service, that one product. If you're wanting to sell a coaching program, then, put that focus on that. But as we go through each of the 10 years leading up to where you are now, I want you to focus on that product or program or the thing that you want to sell. We're going to go back to the first 10 years, then from 10 to 20, then 20 to 30. For some of you, you might have a couple of extra 10 years than others. But don't worry, right? You just go into that as I guide you through the process. But I want you to think about, like, what makes you special, even from the age of like 8 years old. What were you doing then that you recognize, or what happened to you then that you recognize, shit, that actually was the thing that got me where I am. That thing there, that trauma or that story, that thing that I did, or that thing that my grandma told me, what my granddad said was this. And actually, I bring that through into everything my business does now. So it doesn't have to be a traumatic event. It might be something that someone said to you and it just resonated. I was listening to a really good TED talk a few days ago. And the woman said, when I was 6 years old, I remember being sat in the back of the car. I think she said my sister and I were strapped into the back of the car, and my mum suddenly just pulled over on the side of the road and got these sweets out. She said, now, you don't understand. My mum was really strict. We were just on our way home. We were going to have dinner when we got home. There were no sweets before dinner. Like, my mum was really strict. And all of a sudden, she pulls over on the side of the road and she gets this little white bag out, this little crumpled white bag, and she hands it to us. And my sister and I get to pick a sweet. She said it was so out of character for our mum that we kind of took this sweet very tentatively, like, is this a trick? And she said, I put this sweet in my mouth, and this explosion of just happiness and joy just filled me. She said, and that moment was a defining moment in my life. And she walked us through the story, and now she runs she's founded and she runs this chain, I think it's a chain anyway, in America, I believe, of cake shops and ice creams. But she said that moment, that taste explosion, she said, like, I do things very differently. I'm after what is the next flavor. She said, I was walking around Walmart or somewhere, and she was looking for the next taste thing, the next thing that they were going to create, and it was going to be an ice cream. And as she was walking around, she was thinking, no, there's nothing there. And she walked down the cereals aisle, and she had this memory when she was a child of the milk at the bottom of the bowl. Once the really flavorsome bit, after you've eaten the cereal and you've got that lovely milk at the bottom, she said, that's the taste, that's the one. and it's her bestseller because it takes everybody back to that moment in their childhood where they first tasted that sweetness, that beautiful milk in the bottom of the bowl. And she said that moment that I was sat in the car, that my mum gave me that sweet, and that taste explosion exploded in my mouth. That is what I commit to having my clients do, to go back to that special moment in their childhood and remember who they really are when they're eating my cakes, when they're eating my ice creams. And I thought, wow, what an amazing story, right? And it was just something whenever I go to the gym, I just do a refresh on my thing, and whatever comes up is the first, that's what I listen to. I don't choose what I listen to. I just listen to the thing that I feel that I'm meant to be. And I never even thought that I would ever talk about that, but here I am talking about it. So it's made an impression on me. And your stories will make an impression on others. So we want to go back. Where was the time when you actually already started back then to make your way towards the very thing you're doing now? A friend of mine, Catherine Hathaway, she, some of you know Catherine, she's a lawyer, she's a family lawyer, and she fights like a bloody pit bull for families. And it wasn't until she went through a process like this that she realized that that actually happened through a bullying incident in the playground. Because she went back and she said, no one will ever do that to one of my friends again. and so she built a whole career out of it. So there is something that is hiding back there that you're not talking about yet. So that's what we're going to go through. I've taken a bit more time this morning to walk you through that process a bit, to start letting some of those things just percolate to the top. But I think we're ready now. So when you are ready, get into a nice comfortable position. Close your eyes if you want to. You can turn your camera off. It's up to you. Some of you leave them on, others don't. And come into that nice place of breath. And really feel that gratitude for our beautiful Olwyn, who led this conversation today. Just in case one of you have been over branding yourself or trying too hard to create your unique selling point, well, let's just see if that USP is hiding in your history. So keep taking that beautiful, beautiful breath, feeling that breath all the way down into your belly. And feel that peace and calm. Feel that joyful energy. Feel that generous energy. This is you giving yourself generously the time that you need on your business and on you, for you to continually take each and every day another step forward towards that business that you're building, towards you being that brand you want to see in the world, towards being that ripple that you want to see in the world each and every day. And you get to lead that. How cool is this? So you feel that joy and that gratitude washing over you. Feel the light pouring in through each part of you. It's coming in through your knees, through your pelvis. It's coming in through your heart, coming in through your head. And feel the whole of the universe pouring the whole of its light into the whole of you. It's like you are this beautiful ball of light. And there's not one part of that ball of light that doesn't have light streaming into it from the universe. And you see that glow all around. It's actually blinding to other people. To you can see it and it doesn't hurt your eyes. But to other people, if they were to look at you as this ball of light, they would need sunglasses. And in fact, tell people to get some sunglasses. If you're shining too brightly and you're glowing too much, give them some sunglasses, because it's not up to you to minimize yourself. So really maximize yourself. Feel that light pouring in to this beautiful bubble of light. You are in receiving mode right now. You're not giving light out, you're just receiving and feeling that light and that energy pouring into you. And you're in this beautiful, beautiful, safe bubble. And it's important that you feel safe in this bubble, because we're going to go back and revisit some times in your life, and some of those times that might have made you and shaped you and molded you into who you are today. Some of those times that you see or go back to, they might not necessarily be nice ones. So you're going to stay in this bubble and you're just going to notice these scenes that you're going to see in front of you. You're just going to notice them. You're at a perfectly safe distance. You're not going to go into them. We're just going to witness. So be a witness to whatever was happening in that moment. Take the wisdom from that moment. Don't get attached to it. I don't want you to feel the same feelings. I just want you to witness and notice these times in your life as we go back and visit them, and notice them from a really safe distance in this beautiful, safe bubble that you're in. And so in this bubble, whilst you're in this bubble, I want you to notice that there is a timeline. And this timeline goes back to the day that you were born. In fact, this timeline can go further beyond that if you want it to. This timeline can go back before you were born, to start noticing some of the patterns or behaviors or the things that were happening in your family with either your parents or even your grandparents before it came to you. There might be something ancestral that you have pulled through that's made you who you are today, that makes you so uniquely brilliant. So you can make this timeline go back as far as you want to, but the very minimum that I want you to start it at is the day that you were born. And you might see that this timeline is ahead of you. It might be in front of you. When you think about your timeline, it might be to your left, it might be to your right, it might even be behind you. So I want you to imagine that you are just turning your beautiful bubble of light in the direction of your timeline. And we're going to go back to the first moment that connects you to what you are doing now. So just see that bubble of light going back, and it's either going to be in those first 10 years from 0 to 10, or it will be before that. So go back to that moment, see and feel that bubble just zooming to that time, and just bear witness to what was happening then, what was already shaping you into the person that you would become today, the superpowers that you have that serve others, the brilliance and the genius that you have that makes a difference to people today. Let's go back to those very first moments. And just notice, what can you see? What's happening in the scene? What are you feeling? What can you hear? And just really turn up the dial on the color that's happening in that scene. Notice it. Now, it might not be a nice scene that you're witnessing. I hope that it is, but if it's not, then just see it as it is. Remember, you're not attached to the situation. Just with your adult eyes, with the eyes of you and your wisdom now, look at that scene with the wisdom that you have now and see it for how it really is. And take the wisdom from it. And then we're going to move on. And we're going to go for those next 10 years. So see yourself just moving, collecting. This is what you're doing as we're going on this journey. You're just collecting. If you want to collect them and put them in your bubble so that when we get back to your bubble station, you can pick all of these things up and say, wow, yeah, I forgot about that. And oh yeah, what about that one? So you can collect these and see them physically if you want to, or maybe you'll imagine that you have a little journal on your lap as you're going on this journey, and you might write and log these things in, so that as you log them on your journal, you're logging that and committing it to your memory so that you will remember every single thing when you get back to our little bubble station. So visit that next 10 years. What's happening in that next 10 years for you? What can you see around you? Who can you see around you? When you look at it with this distance wisdom, what feelings can you see that are manifesting in this picture? What's happening? What's being said? As you look at yourself at that particular age, can you hear yourself speaking to yourself? Maybe it's something that's not even being said to someone else, but you can hear the thoughts that are happening around that time. Take that wisdom, collect it in your little wisdom basket. And see it as it happened, hear it as it happened, feel it as it happened, but don't be attached to the feelings. And just move around in that 10-year zone. Go forward a couple of years, go back a few years, just dig in. Is there any wisdom, any stories? Are there any events that happened? Usually an emotional event of some kind, something you attached emotion, either happy or sad or traumatic, that there'll be an emotion. So go back and just revisit. Are there any points year by year? There's something special hiding there. You might not have thought it was special at the time, but in the work that you do now, in the thing that you are selling now, there might be something really special just lurking there. So have a really good dig around. Collect all of that wisdom. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you felt, but without attachment. Now get ready to move on to that next 10-year range. So move your bubble. Now go into those next 10 years. What can you see is happening? Who's there? What are you noticing is the feeling in that situation or in those events? Just witness them in a detached way. And move year by year. Was there anything happening there? Just dig in. Little rummage around. Is there anything special that you can find? Is there anything emotional that you're coming across? You think, oh, I don't know how that relates to this thing, but if it's shown itself up as a memory, if it's shown itself up as something, that's to do with this, then I'm just going to collect it anyway. And then I've got it as part of the little toolkit that I'm going to dig into to see if there's any gold there. So don't judge any of the things you're seeing as being useful or not. Some of them might not seem it, but they will be. If they're showing themselves, then they are meant to be in this story. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes now, as some of you have more 10 years than others, for you to take yourself now up to the point of your life now, how you're living now and what you're doing now. So let's just take a couple of minutes for you to visit as many of those scenes as you want to and can. And I'll be back in a few minutes. Just going to give you that quiet time. Okay, so see yourself coming to the moment that you are who you are right now. Bring that bubble forward and just have a look around you now, the person that you are now, the impact that you're making now. And just imagine that with that story, that bringing some of those brilliant moments forward that make you who you are, how that can really help to make an even bigger difference in the lives of others. And really have a rummage around, see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. And as you land in this present day with the universe, God, source, your angels, every resource that is available to you in the universe, feel that pouring into this bubble, supporting you, guiding you every step of the way. And this bubble is always there, by the way. You can come back to this bubble at any time and go back and revisit any period of your life, or go back and look at any situation, but do it safely from this bubble so that you can go back and collect the wisdom from it and not get into the attachment or the emotion of it. Feel that light pour into you, soak it in. Feel the blessings of each and everything, whether good, bad, or ugly, or absolutely freaking awesome. All those things that happen to you, that happened for you, that are now happening through you, and are now being given by you to others. Take some nice deep breaths, breathe in that light, feel that light topping you up. You feel completely full. Every part of you is healed and healthy. And if there's a part of you that you do want to send a bit more light to right now, just feel that light pouring into that area of your body, nurturing, nourishing, and replenishing and restoring. Feel the universe, source, your soul, feel that love pouring into you, that deep, deep connection that you have and always have had. Maybe you're taking more notice of it right now. But feel that love pour into you. And now feel this full love that you have. Now feel that. Send it back out to the universe. It's time to now give back. It's time to give back. You've done a brilliant thing by receiving, and now you are so full that you are ready to give that love back out and see this beautiful red light booming out of you, sending that light out to the universe, to each and every life on the planet, to you, your pets, your family. See that love reach out even to the cashier who will maybe serve you today, the person who might hand you your coffee, or the people that you have the connections with as you go about your day today. Just feel that love already pouring out to them, going about your day from this most gorgeous place, but carrying the wisdom from your past into who you are now and making it your USP. So when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in and release. Once you release, let your shoulders drop. Let's take another deep breath in and release, and let your shoulders drop again. Do that one more time. Breathe in and release. And when you're ready, 3, 2, 1, open your eyes, come back into the room. If you haven't already done so, you can start journaling now. What were those significant situations or moments, those wisdom moments? What were they? Let's take a few minutes to let them pour out of you. Bring that brilliance from your past into your future. Let's see what shows up. Okay, we'll start wrapping up. If you do want to continue journaling this, which I think is a very special thing to do, then give yourself the gift of that time throughout today to just set the intention that if anything bubbles up or anything percolates, just make a note of it. If you don't have time at the time, just make a note very quickly so you can come back to it, because that might be something special that's really trying to get through. Those of you that have a hard finish and you need to get going, have a wonderful day. I very much hope to see you on one of the other sessions that are happening today. But if not, I'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. And for those of you that want to stick around, we've got 10 minutes before this morning's session is complete. So if you want to keep writing and you don't want my voice to be interrupting you, turn your volume down. And for anybody here that wants to either share what came up for you this morning or get some help, get some feedback, I'd love to hear from you. So Carol, you're going to start us off this morning. Good morning.
This is a great exercise.
Oh, good. I'm glad you loved it. I can't wait to hear what happened.
Really interesting. The three things that came up in overall were leadership, risk taker, and massive drive.
Oh.
You know, like everybody, most of you may know, you know, when I self-branded myself in first grade because I couldn't do phonics. And yet the leadership thing was I raised my hand to be a class monitor. So that's how I got, you know, got in trouble. It's probably not the best way to describe it, but you know, I wasn't a shrinking violet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really interesting. And I, of course, as I always start writing throughout the meditation, I don't want to lose any thoughts. But that came across, those three things came across consistently.
Amazing. So that's been a part of you. It's always been a part of you. Do you ever talk about that in your bio or in your unique selling points? Do you ever mention those things?
I don't. I mean, occasionally I'll mention, you know, I was the first female sales rep. I was the first female manager. I was the, you know, highest ranking woman on the Poughkeepsie plant site with 15,000 people. But I don't typically put that in my bio. But I mean, you know, I mean, that's, talk about a risk taker, you know, talking about being on the bleeding edge with everybody gunning for you, hoping that you fail. I mean, that was the reality of it. And, you know, and then the massive drive, which is almost compulsive, which is not necessarily healthy, but that was part of the process. So anyway.
I love that, Carol. Brilliant. See how you can weave that into what you're doing. You know, many years ago, I was kind of going through a process a bit like this. And one of the questions was about, you know, how did your ancestors shape who you are and how you are? And that was very interesting because, and that's why this morning I thought, oh, hang on a minute, why start at age 0? Maybe some of you will go back beyond that. And what I realized by going back through my ancestry and by talking to my mum and finding out about my grandma and my granddad and what they did, and when you look back over my ancestry, I come from a long line of artists, musicians, inventors, engineers, working on, you know, really big projects, you know, bridges in London that millions of people drive over every day. Some of my ancestors built those bridges, you know, and you just think, wow, you know, I come from this long line of all these amazing people. And when I look at what I do now, I'm engineering, I'm designing, I'm creating, I'm singing, I'm dancing my way through what I'm doing. I'm bringing all of those things, all of those historical aspects of my history and my ancestors. I'm bringing all of that in. I'm not leaving that behind. And when I tapped into all of that, I thought, actually, you know, like my granddad was an engineer, and my nan, my granddad's mum, she used to play the piano before we had sound at the cinema. And so she used to be the one that was building up all of the feeling and the atmosphere in the cinema when people are watching these black and white movies. And I'm very musical, and all of these things that come to me, you know, I'm very proud of those things, and actually I get to be all of those things. I you know, and so that's why I mentioned it this morning, and I'm mentioning it now, is that maybe, you know, your dad or your mum or your grandma or your granddad, there was something that they did that you can also pull in to that story. And quite often people will say on interviews to me, like, what makes you who you are? And I'll say, well, I come from a long line of artists and inventors, creators, musicians, and actually I'm all of those things, and I bring all of that into my business now. It's like each and every one of them had their superpower, so that it could be my one complete superpower, and I carry all of their brilliance forward to shine their light continually through me, and I'm proud of that. And so it's actually become part of my story, which I never would have even thought of before. So yeah, like, tap into some of those things. For some of you that won't be true, for others of you it will. So have a little rummage around and see if there's anything you can bring forward as well. Well done, Carol. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, Anya, come on up. We've got Anya and Abby.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really interesting for me as well. And there were kind of some key words that are really important. And so, yeah, the first 10 years was about me hiding and playing small, being visible, alone, lost, whatever. But from that, in my teens, I was reaching out to be accepted and belong and find communities where I had a role and felt accepted and loved. And when I worked as a special needs teacher, I was like, had so much compassion, understanding and patience and caring for the children and the families I worked with, which is where I am now, you know, for the clients I work with. But the belonging in the community is so important, and I really need to build my community, because that was what I didn't have when I was little, and I've been searching for that, you know. And yeah, so there were those themes going on really, and I, you know, the whole hiding and visibility and all that. So yeah, it was lots of
and not having a voice and all of those things. Amazing. And it's all there. It's all there. And it, you know, how amazing would that be to say, hey, look, I've built the world's safest community, because I'd been searching for that community since I was 12 years old. And at you know, 50, however old you are, I don't actually know how old you are, I don't need to know, but you know, at 50 or whatever age you are, I decided I'd waited long enough, and that if I couldn't find it, I was going to create it, and I was going to create it for other people like me who were looking for that community.
The world's safest community.
Bam!
Wow.
You know, or whatever, however you've described your vision towards the thing that you're selling. So if community is what you're selling, go back to those feelings of, what did I want? What have I been craving all my life? Because you're not the only one that's going to have been craving that.
No.
And that's where you can have that unique selling point.
So is that my niche then? You know, that's my real, that's kind of part of my real niche, women I'm reaching out to.
Yeah, potentially women who want to feel safe, that have never felt safe before. That's a niche.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah. Okay.
And you think, you know, if you pick a niche that in industry terms we say is an inch wide but a mile deep. So, you know, like my niche is brand, but think of how many things I can talk about around brand, because it touches everything. So, you know, with that niche, women who don't feel safe, well, there's a whole myriad of reasons why they won't feel safe, why they're not talking, why they're hiding, why they're not sharing that voice, why they're not accepting themselves. I mean, that is a niche that is an inch wide and a mile deep. So it's an inch wide, so it's narrow enough that people can rent a space in their head for that. Oh, Anya owns that space, but it's a mile deep because you've got so much to talk about within that niche.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, it's really motivated me. I've started writing. Thank you so much.
Yay, awesome. Yeah, what a good way to start the day. Abby. Good
Hi
morning.
everyone. Hiya. Thank you. I'm loving these meditations, by the way. It's really helping me through my day. Yeah,
Good.
just to stay centered as well. Just quickly, because I know we're coming to the end. I find always these exercises quite challenging because I tend to not remember that much from my childhood, even though little things do come up. Maybe that's just something that's in my head. I don't know, that's like sabotaging the process. Probably is. It's probably just a story I tell myself. But when you said ancestors, because I come from like both my grandmas had mental health problems, schizophrenia, and that was carried through with my whole family a lot through my life, like about the worry, and that's kind of something that I kind of pick on with frequency, I guess. I mean, the thing I do anyway is already niche, but I'm not sure if that is my thing, if you know what I mean. If I'm sure, like you said just then, yours is branding, but it goes deeper than that. Yeah, because I can do lots of things around the Healy, but I do other things as well. I've done loads of things in my life, loads, and I think I only really found my true purpose like a few years ago. Yeah, and all I really remember is just like being really lost as a child. So well, just being lost and angry.
Okay, so if you're feeling lost and angry and anxious, this device is the very best. I mean, like, that's a niche in itself. And think of all the reasons why someone might feeling that. That's the depth to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like really self-destructive for my whole 20s. Like, I literally just like was drugs, rock and roll. I went through I didn't know who I was. So
that's another one. You know, and if all of this is causing you to, you know, like you say to yourself, you hear yourself saying to yourself, who actually am I?
Yeah.
So you can pull that into your story.
Okay, great, thank you.
Like, how many of you went through a self-destructive past that looked very obvious? It might have been drink, it might have been drugs, it might have been rock and roll, it might have, whatever it was for you. Maybe, you know, it was very obvious then. But I have a question for you. How many of you are still self-destructing, but you're doing it in a daily way, an unconscious chipping away at your confidence way, the unconscious way that is making you feel anxious all the time, so much so you got used to that feeling of anxiety that you don't even know what's making you anxious anymore? Well, if that's you and you're feeling that you are in that place and you're losing sight of who you are, I have something that can support you with that. Come and join me on my next masterclass where I'm going to take you through blah, 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 right? So now you're really, because you've stepped into their world, because now it's all about them. And you're very clear about who it is and who it's for. Because you're using that language, they literally can say, oh my God, it's like you are talking to me. And that's exactly what you want. 1 million people in front of a screen that feel like you are having a one-to-one conversation with them. Because you're not creating a one-to-many product. You are creating a one-to-one many times product, so that each person feels touched by you and your experience as if it's a one-to-one experience. But it doesn't mean that 1 million people can't be having that same experience at the same time. Does that make sense? Does that give you some clarity, Abby?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I like to have a sounding board sometimes because I get more inspiration. It's nice to hear everybody else's as well, just to kind of get that inspiration. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for being willing to show up in the first place. That's the first step. Well, my darlings, we are at a completion for this morning's session. I've loved doing this with you. I love getting up and having someone to do this for every day. You give me that purpose. You feed me with that purpose of getting up and being surrounded already with the most amazing minds on the planet. You are the light, and together we really do shine very, very brightly. So thank you for showing up for me, for yourself. and for each other. I look forward to seeing you on one of the other sessions today. Gosh, what have we got coming up today? We've got the spotlight at 11 in the group. We've got the challenge, day 2 of the challenge. My gosh, I've had so many messages about yesterday. Wow, so many messages and breakthroughs and light bulb moments already. That's been amazing on day 1. Then we're back at 7 p.m. this evening for the sprint, step 2 of the sprint, working on your biography. I know that some of you like to come back to the 3 o'clock. The session at 3 o'clock will be this same session that we've run this morning. So you're welcome to come back if you want to, or you might want to join in at about 3:45, when we'll be masterminding, because I'm going to replay this session this afternoon. So you're welcome. If you do want to come and see if anything else bubbles up, then come back and go through that and keep working through the process. I love you. Keep making those ripples of impact that only you can make. And I'll look forward to seeing you when I see you. Lots of love. Have an amazing day.